Well, I started this company in February of 2000, and I banked my career on the fact that companies would want to do the right thing, that they would indeed comply with the regulation. But instead, what I found was a generation of fakers emerged. Businesses simply blocked, marginalized, shut the door in the face of any child that told them the truth. And that perpetuated years and years of just fibbing at the gate that we keep talking about. So enforcement was slow to start. It's been intermittent. There's been years that go by that nobody's had a slap on the wrist. There's been a few big fines, but quite frankly, they're minuscule compared to the amount of data that's been collected. One good example would be some parents might remember Musical.ly, Musically. It was the fastest growing social platform on the planet for first graders and above. But their terms of service said you must be 13. And it said in their parents section, we care parents, please make sure that you're actively engaged with your child. Wink, wink, nod, nod. I know first graders are on our service, but parents, we're not really in a position to accommodate them. So we're expecting you to keep your child off the service that we're marketing hard to first, second, third, fourth, fifth graders. So there was a New York Times article in, I think it was August maybe of 2016, that time frame, maybe October. And it was called out, hey, this service is absolutely directed to children. Why is it able to block children? And then it was it was understood they didn't even put a gate up to block. They just put it in the terms of service. So nobody actually knew their kids weren't supposed to be on this service. And data continued to, come into the system until they had what we believe is somewhere between 15 and 20 million kids under the age of consent. They packaged up the company and sold it to a Chinese company called ByteDance, that later spun the business back to us as TikTok. So TikTok originated in the US as a US company that should have been governed under COPPA, and it was never enforced upon until years later when it was fined $5 million. Well, it sold for 800 million plus. It had 20 million kids in its system, and it paid a $5 million fine. I'm not sure that a businessman or woman would necessarily stop and do what was right by kids if they knew that they could sell their company for hundreds of millions of dollars and pay a small fine on the back end after it was all done. So no, there hasn't been enough enforcement. It's been too spotty. And safe harbors are out there trying to do the good work to help companies come into compliance. It's not a one and done situation. You can't just audit today and ensure that a company is compliant tomorrow. Technology is ever changing. New content is coming into services. It's an ongoing process. So where safe harbors should be rewarded for helping companies stay in compliance, it's only 1 or 2% of all the companies that should be complying with these regulations that are subjecting themselves to the oversight of a safe harbor. And the rest of them are just rolling the dice that the enforcement agencies aren't going to get around to them. And instead, they can make a lot of money collecting a lot of data, sharing a lot of data, and have a very low risk of actually getting caught by the regulators themselves.